welcome to Anarchy Stick, episode number 3. I'm here with Joe.
Yeah, let's call me that today. Let's call me Joe. I like that. Let's have a cup of it, too.
And we're going to talk about Anarcho-Poco again, some different experiments or experiences, and the ideas and things that we've both seen and the experiences that we've had.
God, wasn't it an awesome experience?
Yes.
I mean, it was one of the, I look at it was probably one of the best weekends/weeks of my life. It was just incredible, intellectually.
So, best speaker.
Oh, I can't.
Not the best. The most surprising speaker.
Ooh, that makes it tougher because, someone like Larkin Rose or Walter Block, my all-time huge heroes, of course I know they're going to be good. I think something that surprised me, a couple people would be, was it Milo, the gay dude that kind of said he was gay? He just got busted, I guess, at a White House conference for going a little nuts the other day after Anarcho-Poco. Blonde hair. He was interesting.
I think I missed that one.
And then there was some guy that started his own party in Europe.
Oh, the Pirate Party.
Pirate Party.
That guy was
surprisingly pretty awesome. I thought he was something else.
I took a photo of his book. I haven't ordered it yet, but I'm definitely going to get that book.
Yeah, and evidently, this is quiet, so let's not let anybody know, but evidently he was an early investor in Bitcoin and is just kind of sitting back in the sidelines. But I think dude is brilliant beyond just philosophy. I think he might know a little bit about financial things as well.
The brilliance that was at that event was amazing. Just the energy and the brain power in that conference room. You could just feel the energy.
Yes. It was something else. It was just, yes. And everybody had positive intentionality about everything.
Yeah.
No one was there trying to sell their book. Everybody wanted to that had a book, but it was the goal was to help people, to be good, to make
I had a hard time
place.
Buying books.
Really? Yeah, people, they weren't there to shove them down your throat, were they?
Right. I wish they would be more aggressive.
Yeah. We're going to have to encourage them somehow.
Yeah, because here I am. I'm like, man, I got a big wad of cash. I just want to give it away to people and have a ton of cool books.
Yeah, I've been saving up all year for this. Sell me something. Be commercial.
Yeah, and I did walk away with like 3 books.
Good. Yeah. Was it H.L. Samuels? L.K. Samuels. I got his, and I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know about him before.
I didn't either.
And I should have.
In Defense of Chaos. And Okay.
Yeah,
and
L.K. Samuels.
The Sailboat Diaries.
By Michael
Fielding. That guy.
He was there.
Yeah. And now, I've taken and friended him on Facebook and see all his posts. The guy is just full of energy. The guy's awesome.
Yeah, okay.
I wish I was like 20 years younger. That guy was awesome.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, totally impressed me.
Huh, good.
Walter Block kind of surprised me a little bit. I wasn't sure on what to expect. Some of Walter Block's, he just doesn't seem like a 100% anarchist. He seems more like a minarchist.
Yes. He's kind of okay with that. Kind of like, is it Tom Woods that thinks that voting is kind of cool if you do it for the right reasons?
Right.
It's almost like he fit. You did an episode on that sometime recently. It's kind of that mentality that, we're all kind of moving toward the same area. I don't know that I agree with Walter there.
The privatization of roads and things like that he does, awesome. Love it.
Yes.
Great.
Amen.
Anytime you can get those arguments down pat where you don't have to go back and think, I don't even know how to answer that question. Who's going to build the roads? I don't know. Who builds the roads now?
Right.
Last time I checked, Barack Obama wasn't out there busting his ass behind a shovel.
Exactly. And of course, most people that build roads that I see aren't really busting their ass behind a shovel, but they're leaning against it.
Just being out in the hot sun is hard work.
That's true. And they deserve some credit.
Exactly.
Yes, and we shouldn't look
And you do have to know exactly what you're doing when you're operating heavy machinery. So I wouldn't take any of that away from anybody.
Yep.
I've done it.
Yes.
So
it's important, and I don't want people to rush into things and overexert themselves. So
thing though, most of those people are just contract companies. So it's not like it's a government-run organization.
But it's government paid.
It's government paid.
And that goes back to, what's his name? The minarchist with the bald head that I love, Milton Friedman, who isn't true anarchist. The 4 ways you can spend money. Other people's money, and not for your benefit, but for somebody's benefit you don't know. That's why private contractors are getting paid stupid amounts, and their guys are leaning on shovels rather than getting stuff done. like a private company for a private driveway would, I think.
Right. And I see pros and cons, and I see the side on both. I mean, you got lazy people in private companies as well, but at least you can fire them.
Yes. And somebody cares enough to fire them.
And that may bring up something, the unions. Now, I don't have any particular problem, per se, with unions in general. If you want to have a union, go for it. But a state union,
that I don't care
for. A government union, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. There's no accountability. There's no profit margin. So it's, how much are we willing to steal?
Yes. Yes. And I'm completely good with 10 guys getting together and say, hey, we're all doing this job. And do y'all agree that we kind of shouldn't be getting beaten with a whip every day? And everybody goes, yeah, I kind of don't like that. And everybody says, hey, how about this Friday we tell the boss we're not coming back Monday unless he quits beating us? And everybody goes, yeah, that's a good idea. I have no problem with
right. And I have
together.
No problem with the boss
That's
saying,
great.
well, then get the hell out of here. I'm not going to hire you.
Exactly. And those guys shouldn't stand out front with baseball bats and not let the replacement
so I guess
heroes come
in our in our version of a union, it really wouldn't make sense to have a union.
Yeah, it would just be it would be voluntary cooperation between coworkers.
If you're not allowed to beat somebody over the head with a baseball bat, really, what good is it?
And the government isn't going to protect you.
So,
yeah, it's kind of worthless. Back when I was a cop years ago in Southern California, I was a member of a union, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Because,
you were a cop?
Oh, I was a cop for over 10 years.
Get the hell out of my
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, I'm out of here. How do you make the sound effects of me running out of the room? Yeah, and I could have stayed, I think it was if I had stayed 39 years, and I started when I was 21, so that would have been leaving at age 60, I could have retired with 99% of my highest 3 years average income, all medical paid for the rest of my life. And that is why California is going to be bankrupt before too long.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of okay. But I
support state bankruptcy 100%. Anything I can do to help the state or the federal government go bankrupt, I'm all for it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. That brings up a good question. I hear arguments that from some people, some anarchists that say, whatever we can do to starve the beast. Mm-hmm. And the idea is if you could get food stamps, if you could somehow qualify for them, and you can get $400 a month away from the government, you're helping the government go broke faster. So try to get the food stamps, try to get government contracts, try to, whatever you can do to take money from the government, do it, make yourself fat. Mm-hmm. I happen to go more along with Karl Wattner's philosophy, which he got from Gandhi, which is if one takes care of the means, the ends will take care of themselves. And is it okay right now today, are the means okay to take stolen money, to accept stolen money that you know is stolen?
Well, here's my opinion on that. The majority of, I think maybe all of the taxes that people pay don't go into running the government. The government is run on printing money.
But where does all that money go then? Where do my taxes go?
Your taxes go and get shredded up into I don't know if that's, but
big mash shredder.
I'm sure a small portion of it or whatever does. It's more of an illusion. It's more of a propaganda thing, and it's more of a tool to hold people down. That's my understanding.
They take money away from me.
Right. Because if government had to rely only on taxes, the money that it generates from stealing labor, it wouldn't be able to have these $1 trillion jets that are basically completely useless, that do nothing.
You can't say that. I mean, well, what do you do?
I'm an aircraft mechanic.
Okay, I guess you can't say something about that. Okay,
I've never worked on a fighter jet in my life.
Okay, but you know enough about jets that you know whether or not it's a waste or a good thing or a bad thing or economical.
All right, here's the way you look at it. What is the purpose of that jet?
It is to shoot people.
It's not the best tool to shoot people.
Well, or to blow up buildings and bridges and other things that might take my freedom away from me.
Right, but I mean, you could do that with a Warthog pretty efficiently, I think.
Okay.
They're really good at blowing up buildings and tanks and things like that.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out why you need super technology, the super fast, the most advanced $1 trillion fighter jet.
Well, because isn't the...
Is it China? Is it their super jet that we're competing against?
No, is
it Russia?
We're not fighting those people. We're fighting the Middle Easterners. Those aren't those the most technologically advanced?
Their jet. Yeah, that's... Last time I checked, their jet was a Toyota Tacoma with a 50 cal strapped to the top of it, and I didn't see any wings on it.
Maybe you're right.
So I don't know. So to me, I see that as a waste of money.
Okay, and so my taxes are not even
But
going to
I'm
pay
all for
that.
it. I'm 100% for it.
Let them
build all the jets, and that's what Osama bin Laden wanted. He wanted to cripple the country economically.
Okay.
Right, and I'm sure he's still around. Maybe I'll see if I can hook up.
Wasn't he killed? No, he was killed.
Supposedly. Nobody's ever.
Well, but
Maybe I can get him on the show.
Yeah.
Once I get like 15 listeners,
now, okay.
he's going to be like, dude, I got to get on the show.
Exactly. Just to make himself famous again, right? So, isn't it interesting if we look at the definition of terrorism, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but the UN's definition or the
chapter I'm working on right now just discussed that.
And it's basically, if you took out the word illegal or non-government approved,
exactly,
it is exactly the same as...
It's section 2331 of Title 18 of the United States Code that defines terrorism.
And what does it say? Because
I don't have the
remember
code
some
in front
time
of me.
ago when I read it, it was just... I thought, well, that's exactly what dropping a bomb in Japan was, except that some dudes in suits said it was okay to do.
Right. So basically, terrorism is exactly what the United States government does, only if you're not the United States government.
Right.
So that's the definition of terrorism.
And you know what's interesting is that even for smaller laws, back when I was a cop, we would, theft was a common thing, larceny. And it was essentially the taking of the property of another without their permission with the intent to permanently deprive them thereof. Mm-hmm. However, at the beginning of what I just said,
Wait a minute.
The unlawful.
I know police officers have no clue as to what the law is.
Well,
so,
I only knew about 4 of them. And that
right
was
now, I
had a
know
little
you're
bit of
just
idea.
pulling that up.
Yeah, exactly. I heard it on the Adam Koresh show.
Okay.
Or no, that was... I combined some names there.
Adam Kokesh.
Koresh was the guy who was trying to kill everybody in the United States, and the government saved us.
He was a small-time terrorist?
Yes. And remember what he did? He stayed on his farm with people that agreed with him?
Yeah.
How horrible. What a horrible dude.
We got to stamp out that nastiness so that we can have a civilized society.
So we can weave, I'm not making any, little puns here with Randy Weaver, so we can weave a pure and safe society for the children.
That's right.
Yeah, but that unlawful thing with the larceny, it was the same thing at the beginning of that law. It says the unlawful taking of the property, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And if you took out unlawful, then taxes would be considered by the government to be theft. So they had to add unlawful. Then they can make a list of things that say, well, if you steal, but it's lawful, and therefore in other words, we have said it's okay, then it's not really theft. Same thing with terrorism. Well, it's unlawful terrorism. It's unlawful killing civilians in order to get your political hopes, make them become reality.
And if you look into it, basically any law is written that way. So the government is always exempt from anything immoral. Because
how handy.
If they were actually to be, to live within a moral code, they wouldn't be able to exist. So
that is
you have to write laws that precisely omit the government from being responsible for that.
Interesting.
Otherwise, it couldn't exist. It would be breaking all the laws.
Right. Gosh, it's almost like...
But we need it to be civilized.
We need to think it's okay. We need to be made to think it's okay. Yeah, it's almost like if you sat back and you think about it, you might almost come to the conclusion that maybe the government isn't here to help us and it doesn't have the best of intentions and it's not really here to save the children.
That's just crazy talk.
Yeah, I must be a conspiracy theorist or something. One of those flat earthers.
Tinfoil wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
What a nutcase.
Right. And just for the record, the government is lovely and it's wonderful, and I believe in everything it does, and it doesn't. Yeah, I can't even do this. Never mind. They're bad people.
So, back to Acapulco.
Yes.
Did you even get to the beach? Did you?
Once to get some B-roll footage. My wife went down and was attacked by the sand fleas or sand flies or whatever so badly that I was petrified. to get
What
anywhere
is that?
near there.
Is that like little bumps on your legs?
Oh, big bumps on your legs.
Because that's what Sue got too, and she's like, "What the heck is this?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
Just red welt stuff. Yeah. So
I never set foot on the beach though.
Didn't you?
Not a single time. No.
Yeah. Well,
I looked at the
much
ocean.
going on elsewhere.
I seen it.
Yeah. Well, there was so much going on elsewhere, and I did sit out there and drink, sip my pina coladas, and look at the ocean with my feet on.
Every time
nice and enclosed in shoes.
we went to go out on the beach, it was closed, or there was a private party out there, or
right.
So.
That is an interesting lesson for anybody coming to Anarchapulco next year. Just so you know, every Saturday night, Mexicans from inland come to Acapulco to get married. They really enjoy loud music, and they really enjoy fireworks.
The fireworks were awesome.
Oh, weren't they though? And it's
the coolest fireworks in the world. They got nothing on Japan or China.
These were pretty good?
They were pretty, talk about loud. Holy crap.
My gosh. It's like, it's 1:45 in the morning. We're at a hotel filled with people.
I didn't hear a thing past then.
Really?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. You'd wake up hearing this and then the loud music out on the streets.
I heard people complain about it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I lost so much sleep. It was worth it. And just next year, it's going to be kind of easy. For less than $1, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get some earplugs and put them in on Saturday night. Saturday night's the only issue. The other nights were, not that loud. But,
yeah.
Saturday nights, bring a pair of the little foamy earplugs, and you're going to need those, unless you're tough.
Can you get those through customs?
Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe the Mexican government, for our safety, wouldn't want us to bring something like that in. I don't know. That would be for the children. That's not our safety. So, wrong reason there. Yeah, Anarchapulco. I didn't make it to the beach other than one quick little walk. I did walk around town some. We looked at real estate one day.
Did you?
And there are some good deals. It's not.
I just don't see if I could live in Acapulco. I keep wanting to say Anarchapulco.
Yeah,
I
think we should rename
it. Really
it.
Isn't a city.
Yeah, well, it is when we're there. Why couldn't you? What are a couple downsides to it?
A couple of the downsides is, one, the culture shock. Is I would really have to change the way, I guess, I see things. And I don't know if that's a negative or a positive. But, and then just the, I guess the unknown.
Yes.
Of, hey, the city's okay, but what's on the other side of those hills? Is that okay?
Right.
And everybody's like, well, our Acapulco's not all it's cracked up to be, and there's this and that. And so you really have to do your research on it before you go take the plunge.
Yeah, fourth highest murder rate city in the world.
Well, I don't worry about that. Phoenix is like the #1 kidnapping city in the world.
Exactly. And are you afraid to go to Phoenix because you're going to get kidnapped? No.
Well,
okay,
from the police.
So.
but I wouldn't be afraid of like Mexican cartel.
Yeah.
A friend of mine is a bow hunter, and he's been out in the areas where U.S. citizens aren't allowed to go, or are warned not to go. That's where he goes hunts, and he's run into drug traffickers, and they drop their AKs and their stash, and they run away. So
with a guy with a bow.
But he does say, I wouldn't grab the AK or the stash if you know what's good for you.
Yes, exactly.
just let it be. They'll come back and get it later.
And that's kind of some of my thinking is going to Acapulco is, yes, it's a very dangerous place if you plan to go down and sell drugs or buy drugs or shoot someone. But if you plan to go down and be a gringo on the beach,
I bet you if you bought drugs, it wouldn't be that dangerous.
Probably not if you brought some weed.
If you actually paid for it. If you tried to short somebody or tried to rip somebody off, that's when you'd probably have some problems. And I honestly don't see a negative in that. I actually prefer people taking care or having the ability to take care of their own issues themselves. And I think you
rather
get
than bringing in a third party.
Right. I mean, think of your own situations. If you were legally able to take care of your own issues and only be judged by your neighbors.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not saying that, okay, hey, I think we should be able to go kill our neighbors if they're jamming their music too loud.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying, because obviously your neighbors would condemn you if you were to try such actions, and you probably wouldn't be living too long as well in a society where it was legal to actually defend yourself. or to uphold your idea of a peaceful society. So I think in that aspect, law enforcement actually hinders
Yes.
and makes a peaceful coexistence more difficult.
Yes. Yes. And there's a lot of tit for tat also. I mean, I used to call it, my cop is bigger than your cop. Somebody would call me when I was a cop. They'd call the cops, and I would show up and they'd say, my neighbor's snowblower blew snow onto my driveway and onto my property. And I'm thinking, why is an armed government agent, even at that point when I was a minarchist, I still wondered, why is an armed government agent walking up to some person's door, knocking on it and saying, hey, with your snowblower, don't blow onto the other guy's property? And this is actually a case, and I talked to that other party and said, hey, this is what the neighbor says, please don't do that. And they said, oh, well, the neighbor doesn't have a ski pass, but they live right here beside the ski hill, and they're using the ski hill, and they just get right on from their house. And then,
wow, so they act like little children.
Yeah, it's
weird.
My cop is bigger than your cop, tit for tat.
So when people are dependent on a central agency, like a mother or father, they never grow up.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I would have done if I was a cop?
What was that?
I would pull into the yard and whip my squad car right in the front yard, whip a couple shitties, and then pull out the street and go, what was it again you needed?
Yep. Walk away, drive away. Yep. Too many BS things. And
I guess I'd make a horrible cop.
Well, any good person would. And I was actually told a lot of times, pat myself on the back. I was told by a lot of people, you're too nice to be a cop.
Did you give out any traffic tickets?
Oh, yes. I'd say that over my 10 years as a cop, I probably gave out fewer than 20 speeding tickets, which is...
It's not too bad.
It's basically nothing. However, I would pull over a lot of people for running through a stop sign, and I would give them a warning for that, but then I would give them a ticket for their insurance being expired or their registration being expired, something petty like that.
So do you feel guilty about that now?
Oh, absolutely. And here's another thing. How, and this is a serious issue that I wrestle with, this makes me actually lose sleep. I was a cop for 10 years. It takes about $100,000 a year to keep a cop on the road. So it's not all salary, but between the car and the insurance, all that stuff. So just from me working for the government, I took or caused to be taken $1 million from my neighbors. And when I say neighbors, I mean people, here and 2,000 miles away. Everybody that has money stolen from them, through taxation, and all the, anybody that has to pay money to the government. I stole or received stolen property to the tune of $1 million.
So you collected for the government $1 million.
Well, I didn't collect, but I took home way less than that.
Well, you're right,
but because of my position.
But your job is to collect funds.
We never looked at it that way. I've actually got to say that in the places I worked, it was never considered you've got to go out and bring some money in or write a certain number of tickets.
Right.
And in my small town, it was actually, that part of it, my little department actually had a pretty good attitude about it as far as that goes.
But it has to be in the back of every officer's head that my job depends on how much revenue I'm able to bring in.
Not at all. No.
It never?
Nope, it doesn't come in because we get paid by the city.
Right. But the city gets paid by what you bring in.
No, the city pays us. That's as far as our thinking goes. Cops aren't hired because they're smart. And there are actually a lot of there have been lawsuits because people have wanted to become police officers and they couldn't because their IQ was too high.
Right.
That is honestly something that is tested out.
So you're admitting that your IQ is very low.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying.
What do you mean by that? Huh?
Nothing.
And that is actually the case that a lot of cops, you don't become a cop if you have certain characteristics or certain character traits. You have to be willing to be aggressive. You have to have an ego. You have to be logical. There's a whole line of things.
Did you lift weights and take steroids while you were an officer?
I lifted weights, but I didn't take steroids. Others in one town certainly did, but not in the.
I don't have anything against taking steroids, by the way.
Yeah, that's if it's a healthy thing.
Because if I was a cop, I would totally take steroids
Really?
and lift, just so I could get. And I would have tattoos as well.
Just so you'd be a big badass
Right.
looking dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I go back to that. Just in what was paid to me through my salary and the cost to have me on the road. Now that I'm a voluntarist, and I feel that was a wrong
Anarchist.
thing to have done.
Just say it. You're an anarchist.
Yeah, okay.
Just say it. Embrace it.
See, I don't think that... We should come back to this, because I don't think the word anarchy... I think that it stirs up emotions.
Right.
Yes, the word was stolen. It's not what we mean it to be.
Exactly.
It's not intellectually correct. But that word is charged with so much negative energy in the minds of the people who we want to convince.
Mm-hmm.
So from a sales perspective, public relations perspective...
What better way to get somebody's attention?
And if shock jocking is the thing,
no,
then I think it's great.
Because people think such negative opinions of anarchy, and they're thinking, oh, this guy's on his time off, he's putting on a black hoodie, and he's throwing Molotov cocktails and looting stores and pushing over cop cars. What kind of animal is this? And then you show them that you're just kind of a geeky, little guy
Because we all are, right?
Wouldn't hurt
Except
a fly.
us.
And you read books and you do all kinds of nerdy things, and you learn how to make websites.
You kind of want peace and crazy stuff like
right,
that.
You don't want to really hurt anybody, and
I think that is one approach, and I think that is, just as there are a lot of sales techniques for selling apples or anything else that you're going to do, I think that is one good technique for selling. And then I think another technique would be a softer, more judo.
All right, I'll let you
way.
call yourself a voluntarist.
Voluntarist.
I'm just gonna, take the easy road.
Yeah, exactly. Wimp out here.
BitShare.
Yes, share my bit.
Share my bit or BitShare or something like that. It's like a YouTube that's fair.
Yep.
And I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
So I want to start supporting people on that. So people that have good videos, you just go and pay 90 cents or something like that, or 50 or 30 or whatever they set it at.
Yeah.
Which I think if you're setting your video at 99 cents, it's like, come on, really?
Yeah,
that's a little high.
I think it depends on your content.
I guess it depends on the content.
Yeah, I mean, if
But
Tony
you're
Robbins says, I've put everything that I've said over all the years and actually make it workable for everybody, and it's in 2 minutes, yeah, a lot of people would pay $100.
But if I could get an episode of The Family Guy or The Simpsons on Apple TV, right? Or I could watch a video on what am I going to do, right?
Yeah.
I gotta go with American Idol on that one.
Yeah. But see, I think that comes down to you, your industry as a podcaster. You have got to be good. You people have got to beat out Simpsons. You're not going to beat them out in production quality. You're not going to beat them out with your animators.
Well, that's
but
my
you can
point.
beat them out with your ideas.
If you don't have, if you got the quality and you're putting out a top-notch quality product, then yeah, 99 cents, do it.
Very fair.
But you have to compete with what's out there.
Yes.
You can't go, well, I only have 5 guys looking at my video, so I need to charge $25 a video.
Right.
It's like, good luck, buddy.
Yep. Got to be business savvy about it.
Right.
Yes. However, I think that to certain people it's fair. And Lark and Rose, for example, there are a core group of us that are followers of his.
I don't even like Lark and Rose anymore.
Who is he? if he put out something that was his greatest work ever condensed into 30 minutes, I'd pay anything. And I think there are a core group of people that would put out $100, $200 for a short video if it was.
You're the only one.
Am I the only one?
You're the only one.
He didn't have a very big market though.
Yeah, his book is what, $15?
Yes.
Yeah, just buy that. That's his condensed version
Yes.
of everything he knows.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know. And it is a simple thing. But
Does he know how to garden?
I don't know. I think he's a carpenter actually by trade.
A cookbook, a Lark and Rose cookbook.
There you go. Blueberry pie, the special. Actually, his wife, Tessa, just came out with a book.
But it's not a cookbook.
It is not a cookbook.
Isn't it like a romance novel or?
It's actually an awesome concept, and I'm only a chapter into it. But what an idea!
I just couldn't I couldn't buy it.
Really?
I maybe you're gonna throw rocks at me, but
it is such a good idea, and my wife and I are both straight as far as we know. However, we have family members and friends and other people in our lives that are gay or bi or alternative lifestyle, we'll say.
Right.
And this book that she wrote is one of the smartest, nicest ways of letting someone come to understand how others might feel. just a wonderful sympathy, empathy type book.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a need for that.
Not your interest. Not your area. We all only have so much time. Like Bitcoin book for me. That's great. Okay, great. Just not my thing.
Well, the thing is, if you need to learn how to provide empathy, or I don't think you're going to be interested in that book, right? And if you already know, I don't think you're going to be interested in that book, right? So it's kind of a catch-22.
I disagree, because I think the same could be said for Most Dangerous Superstition or for A New Liberty by Murray Rothbard. Those that already feel that liberty's a good thing are already there. Those that don't aren't going to want to read it. But I think there are a lot of people. No, I'm going to
disagree with you there.
Really?
Because here's why I seek out books like that, is to find holes in my thinking, to find things that I didn't think about, or that I haven't really come to have a good grasp and explain very well. Where I think everybody has the point where they stumble on certain issues, like, well, if you get rid of this government, there's just going to be another government coming and taking its place, and arguments like that you hear all the time, but you're like, oh, really? Okay. But if you look into like chaos theory and you start digging into these other, it becomes pretty simple to answer those questions.
Right.
So that's why I think people like us seek out those books, so that we have a better understanding of these questions that have been thrown at us, that in the past we're like, man, I'm going to have to think about that.
Right. Well, I think that there are a certain category of books that are for the choir, preaching to the choir. Mm-hmm. There are a certain category of books that are for the choir, but I also feel good giving The Most Dangerous Superstition to a person who is a minarchist and saying, hey, check this out, see what you think, and just can you punch some? I've been trying to punch some good holes in this. Help me out, find some good holes, and let's chat about it.
Right.
And I think it's a great intro book.
Because you were a cop, you're not that bright.
Exactly. I need help. Help me into this. So I think there's a different category of customer or reader or listener that different books fit for different people.
That's true. But for me to get reading into a novel or something like that, or even a self-help book, it's like, that's like pulling teeth for me to read.
Just not your area. That's how I am with fiction. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to work my way through Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And a book on tape, even. And that one's, what do they call it now? You young people. What do you call it? It's not a tape. You don't use the cassette tapes anymore. What's that thing called where you put it on the internet machine? Yeah, MP3 or whatever. The audio book is the thing. And
I think that's an AAC file.
Okay.
For audiobook. But
I'm trying to work my way through that, and I'm just not a fiction kind of guy. And other people, I think a lot of libertarians love their science fiction. Love science fiction, and it's just kind of
that's true.
I've never seen Star Trek or Star Wars even. I'm just on the complete opposite there. So I think we all come from different places, and different things will appeal to us. Different things will bring us into.
Because that's another great point. Maybe I'm getting off point.
I think we have been this whole chat, haven't we? I love it. I love it. It's anarchy. It's chaos.
We started with Acapulco for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. What was that again? Oh yeah. That was that place.
Okay. So, but. Coming to, you go to a different environments, like say you go to a retail shop, or those people in general are going to have the same strengths and weaknesses. Where I work, which is in the service, I guess, or servicing aircraft mechanics.
Right.
The vast majority of mechanics cannot spell to save their lives.
Right. Because you're so good at one.
Because this type of personality figures things out. I think if you put puzzles in front of any of these mechanics, they're not going to have any difficulty whatsoever. Right. They'll breeze right through it, and they'll be like, what's the problem? And then you go to, say, a college grad who's studying, I don't know, something really technical.
Yes.
Something medicine. Complicated. Yeah,
yes.
Medicine. And those guys, they couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag to fix something.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
And I find that across the board. It's like it's really, really unique or rare to find somebody who's a great mechanic that can spell.
Mm-hmm. You know what I find in the shooting industry? Long-range shooters or precision shooters, bench rest shooters, you can almost walk up to them and say, so what kind of engineering do you do? Or, oh, yeah, you're a mechanic. And how did you know? or you're a fabricator or something like that. It's the people that, it's that type of person that seems to gravitate to that. And you know what I find for voluntarism, for anarcho-capitalism, it seems like there are so many computer geeks. People are programmers, or they have something to do with the internet machine. And that seems to be 70-80% of the people I come across are very tech savvy. And I think that the reason is that these people are able to add up a series of numbers or facts, and whatever the answer is, they trust it. And when you add up the facts of life and you come to anarchy, it is a very uncomfortable feeling for most people. For someone that is willing to say, gosh, I don't like that 2 + 2 = 4, I really wish it equaled 5, but since it equals 4, I have to go along with that. And that is how I think a lot of these engineering type mindsets, I think that's why they end up as anarchists. Because, wow, wait a minute, somebody's taking money, I didn't say it was okay to take it from me. Yeah, I don't like to say that the teacher next door is a thief, but yeah, she kind of has my money
I deal
now.
with a lot of engineers. I'm going to have to disagree with you there.
Really? They are not okay with the answer that comes out?
Now, engineers are... I'm not going to say anything about engineers.
They're sweet, aren't they? Hug an engineer day.
They're different. To find an engineer with a good sense of humor is very rare.
Amen. Amen.
I know one, I'm not going to say is... Well, two. Two engineers that have great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to say their names, but...
And they would not work as a used car salesman. There's no way they can do this. Yep.
But for the most part, engineers are straight-laced, will not bend, and that's just the way it is. It's
based on facts.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if you provide them with certain facts, they are going to add those up, and they don't care if they're not going to get a girlfriend. If that's what the answer is, then, no, that's what it is, and this is where we're going to stick with. Yeah. And they just won't change from that.
I guess I would trade my girlfriend to be an engineer.
Really? Yeah. Oh, Sue's too awesome.
She's awesome. Yeah.
She's not going to hear this. She will not hear this, Frank, know that it was you, Frank.
To have that amount of knowledge, and that's what, like, computer programmers, I kind of compare them with linguistics or people who, that speak 7 languages. Yeah. It's like, how do you do that?
Yes. Isn't that brilliant?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Those gifts, I just wish you could, like, program and stick it in your own mind.
Yes.
Because there's so much information I want, and I seek out, and I just can't get it all to stay in my mind.
You might have been able to get on the police force with me.
I'm thinking I'd probably be a great police officer.
There are things I wish I could figure out. Like this guy was sitting the other day and talking to me over dinner about he believes that the Earth is likely to be flat and not round. And
I agree 100%.
2016, and he is.
I think we're living inside the Earth.
And to me, that's crazy talk. That does not look. It's crazy talk. And then he started talking to me about
Have you ever been in Tucson in the summer?
We are inside the Earth. We are in hell. It is hot as brimstone here. But he was talking, and as he was explaining the different angles of the Earth, and, a straight plane, if you look out across the ocean in a certain number of miles, if there's another boat out there, because of the curvature of the Earth, the bulge in the water where the rounded ball is, you shouldn't be able to see, and it's a certain number of inches per mile, and as it goes out, it becomes more dramatic, like a measurement, an angle measurement. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand all that. I don't know that the sphere with if it's a 26,000 mile around sphere, how do you find out the angle of the blah blah blah? I wish I had that engineer's mind.
You don't have any Asian friends?
Calculate that stuff. That's what I probably need to do. I probably need to find an Asian friend, or I've got some friends that don't like hugs. They're probably engineers. I should ask them.
I've got an Asian friend that's horrible at math.
Really?
Like where did he come from?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, so
speaking of which, I love generalizations. Yeah, I think they're so handy.
They're awesome.
And you're still gonna give that friend a chance, that Asian friend. Yeah, maybe they're not going to get math maybe they are, and you're going to judge them as an individual.
Right.
But by
and you're
large,
always going to drive when you're going somewhere together. You're not going to let them drive.
That's true. That's true. But if we needed my little problem there solved, and we're going to go onto the street and flag somebody down, I think we're looking for a Honda with a bowl haircut.
Probably.
And I think that person has a much better chance of solving our problem.
Or the bald white guy with the wife beater shirt on.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to solve it for us. That's us.
Yeah, that's true.
He might be friend to have a beer and a steak.
The skinny bald white guy with the wife beater shirt
Okay,
on.
maybe he knows it all.
Yeah, he's got to have some tattoos as well.
Yes, that is kind of a sign of intellect, I think.
Right. I need to get a tattoo, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that. I think it's good to look at your body and say, I like myself. I like who I am. I'm smart. I'm attractive. But I really need somebody to just stab a bunch of holes in me and pour ink on it, and I want it to stain forevermore. Then I'll look better. I think that is a good thing for people with good self-esteem.
My son wants a lion tattoo on his shoulder.
Oh gosh, henna is the way to go. Let's get it and have it gone before it starts. Yeah,
I told him I'm all for it.
Really?
But then he wanted me to pay for it. I'm like, well, there's okay. Now
I don't like it so much.
That changes everything.
Yeah, we don't want it to get in the way of cigarette money or anything.
Right. I mean, if he wants to pay for it, I'm all for it. And then I will make fun of him every single day.
I like it for that reason. And by all means, okay, so I'm right now talking out against tattoos. Mm-hmm. However, I am against me getting a tattoo.
Right.
And if anybody tries to keep my neighbor from getting a tattoo, I will fight for my neighbor's right to get a tattoo.
I think tattoos are awesome because it makes you easily identifiable.
Yes, if you're trying to kind of not be able to be tracked down and found, that is good.
So if somebody's running away with my TV set out of my house, I'll be like, yeah, it was the dude with the Care Bear tattoo on the back of his neck.
Exactly.
See? So
people
tattoos are awesome.
Care Bear tattoos. Now, who would get a Care Bear tattoo? If I see anybody with a Care Bear tattoo, I think I'm going to give them a hug.
Okay, it was just an example. I've never really seen anybody.
I'll show you some picture of somebody. I love that. That's a great example. She's going to love this podcast. Lynn actually has them all up and down her arms.
Does she have a Care Bear?
Yeah, all over her arms. See them there? How she's all, what's that called? Sleeved up?
Yeah. I like the ones where you get tattoos of your children, and they look like alien monsters.
Right. And then as years go by, your children change their appearance.
Right.
A good tattoo artist might know where to put that tattoo. So
it doesn't deform after you get fat?
Wrinkles. Yeah, maybe it's like the crow's feet here.
Yeah.
So as the child gets old and wrinkles, your wrinkles match the. I don't know. Never mind. That's stupid.
It's a good idea, I guess.
Yeah. Let's leave that up to the engineers. That's out. But yeah, and so I think let me try to segue out of that before I look like a blubbering idiot.
Yeah, no, I pissed off all the tattoo guys.
Too late.
Animals?
Peaceful plate.
Oh, that's a tough one for me.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's hard.
I love steak.
And that's where Mark Stevens is so good, because he's such a true character, a true person, where he honestly wants to remove all contradictions. And when you talk about peaceful society or no violence, he's like, why shouldn't that include animals?
Bullshit. I call bullshit.
And I'm on the fence. I don't know.
I am too, but here's where I think the big breakdown comes. People talk about the NAP, the non-aggression principle.
Right.
And, not to initiate violence against others. Well, it all comes down to the word others. What is an other? When you say others, are you you mean human beings? Or do you mean animals? Or do you mean broccoli? Cabbage has feelings. You can hook up electrodes to cabbage. There are videos out there on this.
I've seen the videos. I'm not convinced.
Okay. If a cabbage can feel the pain of a blade slicing through, then maybe we shouldn't eat cabbage. Well, guess what? We just heard about this new group out there, breatharians or breatharians. Mm-hmm. These are people that believe that you only breathe air. Well, there are microorganisms in the air. You are ingesting them into your body, and you are killing those poor little things. So, I think that the truth lies
And when you
somewhere
spray your house for termite control,
Yes.
you have to protect your home, and you have to kill all those innocent little termites that
Yes.
did nothing to nobody.
Yeah. So somewhere between microbes that you're breathing into your body and
So we have to-
microorganisms, and somewhere between that and going out and killing people for kicks and giggles, no offense to Republicans or Democrats, but other than somewhere between those two extremes is the answer. And if the answer is an absolute true purist, you will harm no other thing that lives, be it a piece of cabbage or a microbe or whatever, then we need to just put an end to it right now. We need to get the guns out and take our... Well, let's not use guns because then they'll get a bad reputation.
How about just avoiding veal? Like if it's an old cow that's really had a good time, granted
Yes.
he's in cramped conditions, they're not the best, but he's still enjoying his life, he's with all his friends.
Well, if you took it down to that extreme, what if an animal is living peacefully out in the wild, enjoying being peaceful, and all of a sudden a branch falls off of a tree, hits it in the head and kills it, and the animal drops down dead?
I'd burn the hell out of that tree.
Well, at that point, are you angry at the tree? It's a living thing that killed another living
Of course,
thing.
it was accidental.
Yeah, but
And the tree's a
can you eat the
victim as
animal,
well.
though? Can you eat the animal, though? And I don't know. And I know that's an extreme example. However, I think that going to extremes is very it helps us figure things out. Even if not being able to pronounce the word illustrative.
I don't
was
even
wrong,
know what
too.
that-
Yeah, helps illustrate stuff.
We're going to try to avoid big words on this show.
Okay, I like that. Because then that way I can understand and I can
I'm a
listen and know
simple
what you're
person.
saying. See, you could have been a cop. Darn it.
Yeah.
Wasted all those years.
My IQ's not that high. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah.
But I try really hard.
And trying is all that matters.
That's right. So
you should get a trophy.
I should get a
As long
trophy.
as you try, that's all that matters.
So if anybody wants to put out a trophy for effort,
Yes. Or a boss.
yeah, podcast effort.
Yes. There you go.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I deserve the trophy. I just want there to be a trophy.
Right. For people that try and suck, but try. Yeah.
At least put the effort out there.
Yeah. You know what? I've only listened to one of your episodes, and maybe that's because you just now started. But you are on the right track. You have a good...
You listened to the Sue episode.
You are on the right track. I've talked to you in person, and I've seen that you have a good, strong intellectual foundation, and you're a friendly, nice guy. You're committed to truth, and that kind of goes a long way when you're doing a philosophic or social theory type podcast. So, I'm blowing smoke
I
right
am
now.
an intellectual.
But way to go. You are.
All right.
You is.
So then, do I still get the trophy?
No, you're not going to get the trophy. You're going to get a trophy for actually being the man that influences people. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is. At this point, I'm not ready to give up meat. And yet, kind of like you said about being on the fence, intellectually, I know that when I go to the restaurant and I order a hamburger, I am, in effect, putting in an order in the free market. I'm putting in an order. I'd like you to go and inseminate another cow. Go ahead and do that, and then I want you to take that calf and have it live in cramped conditions and have its horns sawed off. And I know that when I order a hamburger, I'm in essence saying that, but have you ever had an In-N-Out double-double with cheese and onions? How can I give that up? How can I give up a steak? How can I give up eggs?
Don't they put like a bunch of sugar and all that in there too?
I don't know what they do to create that magic, but that is the one. I think In-N-Out Burgers, and Tommy's Burgers, Original Burger Shack, those two food establishments have been the two best arguments that have made me question my atheism. Sinking my teeth into an In-N-Out double-double with cheese and onion makes me wonder maybe there is a God. I don't know.
You're going to piss off a ton of people that... Well, most people aren't vegetarians. They're just trying to be.
That's true. Or vegan.
Or vegan's even worse. That's
if you're going to take the argument, how far do you take it?
But
you have to take it to
I want to do
suicide.
more research because I've always been under the impression that eggs are one of the most perfect foods there is. And you talk to a vegan, and they're like, eggs are the devil. Hello.
Yeah, and eggs are awesome.
And eggs are awesome, and chickens are
They're
good
yummy.
too.
But if I want to be an intellectually consistent person, and if something's bad, I should not.
But
do
if we
that
didn't,
bad thing.
here's another way to look at it too. If we stopped eating beef, how many cows would there be around? What would be the use for a cow?
way less, and we'd no longer be purposefully breeding them.
We don't need cows to pull a plow anymore.
Correct.
We don't need them to. There's no cow races.
Well, not
right?
many. Yeah, you're right.
There's
we
no-
wouldn't even be able to race them because that would be considered abuse by a vegan.
Right. And I don't know if all. There wouldn't be any cows. They would be extinct.
Yeah. However,
We'd have to eat dogs then.
no, I wonder if. Yeah, I haven't heard any arguments. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. These people have a good point, I think, and I think I'm scared that someday I might.
It is a good point, but
I might have to follow them down there.
But I am begging for somebody to give me good alternate points that I can counteract the wonderful, peaceful vegans out there that give such wonderful arguments against eating meat, and they make me feel so horribly guilty. I want to have a good intellectual argument that says, no, it's wonderful to butcher cattle and eat them and hang them upside down and slice their throats and watch them bleed out, and that's a good thing.
It's hard to have that.
Well, yeah,
hard
it's a
to
really
take that
tough
position.
argument.
It's hard to take that position, and I can't. And mine comes back down to the intellectually weak, silly, dumb, juvenile argument of, I really like In-N-Out burgers. I mean, that's my best argument is, I really like to rape people, therefore it shouldn't be illegal. That's not a good argument. That's
No.
violent. That's bad. That's wrong. Now, whether or not the non-aggression principle applies to animals, I think it's a separate issue. And if we separate that issue, I think it can still be wrong.
And I don't think it's a separate issue, but I understand the whole plant argument as well. And I get to the point, like, where do you draw the line?
Yes. We have to commit suicide right now if we're not going to.
Right, you're not allowed to eat because you're killing something.
Yeah, or if I inhale
What if
these
we
little
ate
microorganisms, I'm killing them.
cows while they were still alive?
That's
Have you seen
probably
there was
monkey.
in Asia, I think, some country, I don't know what, where they take the fish, they catch the fish, they slice half the fish off, and they put the fish back in the.
Yes, and you eat while the flesh is
Yes.
still pulsating.
Same with
It's
octopuses,
sick.
they eat
It's
the
sick.
octopus live.
It's just sick.
Why?
Why
is that worse than?
that poor sweet thing? I mean, it's just trying to swim around and make googly eyes and get into
You
a
know
movie.
you're contradicting yourself now.
Oh, I know, and that's what bugs me is that I am so scared.
What if we just took a leg from the cow and didn't kill him?
Just let a three-legged
one
cow
leg.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was and just let him free.
Yep.
Of course, then the lions would get him.
Yes.
What if we just took a leg from the lion?
I think lions, you pretty
That
much
would be
don't want to
harder,
hurt those.
yeah.
They've got a few years after
They might
Cleon
fight back.
or whoever. Cleon, was it Cleon? Not Cleon Skousen. Who was the lion? Leon. The recent one that there was this
The
whole big
dentist got?
uproar. Yeah, the dentist that hunted one.
Yeah.
I think that lion kind of bought lions a free pass for a few years. Nobody wants to even think of them.
I've seen some news article where they want to kill like 200 lions in Tibet or something.
Yeah.
I didn't read into it.
And isn't it interesting that we would care more about that than we would the 200 chickens? And yet they're both living, breathing things that have brains. What makes a lion's life more valuable than a chicken? Why, in public opinion, is one more valuable than the other? It's an interesting question. I don't know.
Disney movies?
I think so. I mean, it's
We
the
need to have a
reason-
chicken Disney movie.
Maybe we do.